Welcome everyone to the 25th Celebrity Synastry chart reading where I will be looking into Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban. If you don't know me, hi, I'm Adeline. I look at the dynamic between two celebrities using astrology, specifically Synastry. For those new and returning, I take notes on a Synastry chart looking at the personal planet signs, aspects, and if birth time available house overlays. I share these notes and add my extra insights and interpretations along the way. And of course, as always, leave your thoughts in the comments and let's get a discussion going. So if that sounds good to you, like, subscribe, and keep on watching. Starting off with the sun, we have Nicole's sun in Gemini and Keith's sun in Scorpio. They want different things in life and they're attracted to their differences. Nicole is not attached like Keith. Keith thinks Nicole is superficial, and Nicole thinks Keith is demanding and insatiable. Nicole's sun in Keith's 12th house. They are different people. There is an atmosphere of mystery. Marriage is not possible. They don't understand each other and they have no idea why they are together. Nicole finds Keith unpredictable. Nicole sees Keith as exotic and strange. Nicole feels Keith doesn't approve of her. I'm kind of linking this to what we just saw, how she thinks he's demanding and insatiable. Maybe she feels she is, I don't want to say not good enough, but can't live up to his standards, I guess. Relationship requires a lot of patience, and Nicole is attracted to Keith against her judgment. Keith's sun in Nicole's 12th house, so this is inverted. So Keith finds Nicole unpredictable. Keith sees Nicole as exotic and strange. Keith feels Nicole doesn't approve of her, and Keith is attracted to Nicole against his judgment. Their suns are Trine together, so there's mutual respect. They energize each other. They're cooperative with each other. They're supportive of each other. They can deal with conflict in a healthy way, and they accumulate wealth and luck. Nicole's sun opposite Keith's Mars. Sparks fly. Keith is defensive. Both assert independence, they compete with each other, they're annoyed with each other, overwhelming sexual and physical attraction, and this attraction will fade over time. Nicole's sun sextile Keith's Jupiter. Nicole energizes Keith. We saw before how it is an energizing relationship. They're good travel companions. Keith is generous with Nicole. Mutual respect remains after the end. It's kind of interesting how, so far we haven't got through most of the reading yet, but so far we have seen a couple sort of, not necessarily deteriorating aspects, but that there is an end to this. Both want to make the other happy. Keith boosts Nicole's confidence. Keith opens up new doors for Nicole, and Keith frequently gives Nicole the benefit of the doubt. Nicole's sun square Keith's Uranus. Not predictable or stable. We saw how both of them kind of see each other as not very stable. Separation occurs and causes strain. I assume this would just be naturally to their careers. I believe Keith is a musician, not an actor though, so still the same thing. Keith feels trapped by Nicole over time. Relationship can start and end suddenly. They cannot rely on each other in the long term. I'm not liking this. I hate how we're seeing this. There's an end. Nicole initially finds Keith attractive and appealing. I hate this because, I hate how it's connecting because we saw in the beginning this is kind of related how she's attracted to him against her judgment. But we also saw that the sexual and physical attraction they have for each other will fade. Meaning that there was an initial period where they had that attraction. Nicole grows tired of Keith's inconsistency, going back to the seeing each other as unpredictable. Keith changes and challenges Nicole's life, which I assume would be related to possibly him opening up new doors for her. Nicole's sun square Keith's Pluto. It's love-hate, there's a strong magnetic connection. They both need to learn not to focus on their ego. Hard to remain friends just after. They want to learn everything about the other. It's transformative. There are power struggles. Both want to be the dominant one. Possibility to encourage the other's negative qualities. I kind of see this in terms of we saw how they both see each other as predictable. I assume that both of their negative qualities they think the other has is what the individual has, if that makes sense. I think they share the negative quality. I think they share the negative qualities they have in relationships. I hope I'm explaining that right. Possibility of an unhealthy obsession with the other. Both experience emotions they never felt before in a relationship. I believe, from what I know, this relationship is quite a different one for both of them. I'm not sure if Keith was married previously but no, Nicole was married to Tom Cruise, which I feel like this relationship would be a very different experience to that relationship she had. Keith's Sun square Nicole's Jupiter. They have different values. They may overindulge each other. Excess is from good intention, strong desire to make each other happy. We do see that again, which is nice. Nicole has the ability to cheer up Keith. Both may expect too much from the relationship, and both encourage the other to self-indulge and be impractical. See, yeah, I feel like they both have the same negative qualities, and I feel like because they have those qualities, they do kind of subconsciously the other to be, have that same quality. To make it make more sense, because I don't feel like I'm explaining myself well, like with the unpredictability factor, they both seem to be naturally a bit more unpredictable. And I think because both of them are unpredictable as people and obviously would be in this relationship, the other would kind of see that as like a green light. Okay, I'm fine with being unpredictable in this relationship because they're being unpredictable, if that makes sense. So now it's time for moon. We have Nicole's moon in Sagittarius and Keith's moon in Cancer. Nicole is impatient with Keith. Differences in emotions are frustrating. Nicole may feel trapped by Keith. I think we did see before how Keith feels trapped here. So both of them feel trapped here, which is great. Keith feels misunderstood by Nicole, and Nicole often accidentally hurts Keith's feelings. Nicole's moon in Keith's 5th house. Nicole sees Keith as perfect. Nicole feels an emotional connection with Keith. Nicole drops her emotional guard around Keith. Keith is flattered by Nicole. Keith appreciates their emotional relationship, and they both enjoy spending time together, and they have lots of fun together. I think we saw before, like, for going back to the sign aspect, going back a bit, I think we did see before how Keith feels misunderstood by Nicole. So it's interesting that we see that he has an appreciation for the emotional relationship. I wonder if we will see a bit more on that, potentially. Keith's moon in Nicole's 9th house. Keith idolizes Nicole and he feels Nicole is out of his league. Maybe potentially this is why he appreciates their emotional relationship. Potentially because he kind of feels like a bit of an underdog and will take what he gets, if that makes sense. Keith brings out the best in Nicole. Nicole may become dependent on Keith. Potentially why she may kind of make Keith feel trapped because she is dependent on him. Nicole may become emotionally attached to Keith, share similar attitudes on politics and religion, possible for long distance. We do keep seeing this sort of like separation factor, mutual respect, admiration, and affection. Keith's moon square Nicole's Venus. Previous relationships negatively impact this relationship. We do see there is a bit of impact on past relationships, as we saw earlier. There's a strong connection. Nicole may not be able to provide Keith with the emotional nourishment he wants. So we did see, we just saw that he can feel a bit emotionally unfulfilled, sorry. But we also saw in the beginning how he can feel a bit demanding and insatiable to Nicole. So possibly he feels, maybe Nicole sees him as a bit too emotional. Keith may struggle with his self-worth. I assume like there is that dynamic where he feels Nicole is out of his league and, you know, he really idolizes her, that doesn't help. Both tend to take each other for granted. They both need to resolve their internal issues for this to work. Their values are in conflict. Living beyond means will create strains. We see this again, that there is a bit of financial flamboyance here. Both need to learn to compromise. They both like each other, but not their habits. I'm not surprised. I mean, we see there is a general like to each other. I don't feel they don't like each other. And we definitely did see, I feel like emotionally they're not really on the same page. But the habits that they do have, I feel like they both kind of share to an extent. They both may feel misunderstood. We keep seeing this from Keith's end, which is quite sad. They both will learn how to cooperate. Nicole sees Keith as narcissistic. That's sad because I feel like he seems to just be quite emotional. Like he doesn't necessarily seem to be like a bit selfish. I mean, if you are quite emotional and you do require a lot of emotional nurturing, that can potentially come off as a bit selfish. Keith does not always understand Nicole's emotions, and Keith sees Nicole as needy. I assume, first of all, going back to Nicole feeling dependent in this relationship, but also potentially with Nicole's emotions, maybe he doesn't understand yeah, like, because he seems to be quite emotional and Nicole seems to be frustrated with that. So I assume Nicole is not as emotional or expresses it in a bit less obvious way. Nicole's moon trine Keith's Saturn. Building on past traditions is important. There's a potential for accumulating wealth. We keep seeing these people are wealthy. Keith is accountable with Nicole. Keith prioritizes domestic life. Keith's desire for commitment is appealing to Nicole, especially she seems to be a bit dependent. Keith finds it difficult to be emotionally caring. Interesting. Maybe this is why he can come off as narcissistic to Nicole. It does seem to be a matter of he seems to be quite emotional. I don't want to use the word emotional void, but that's the best word I can think of at the moment. He does seem to be, yeah, like very emotionally needy, and potentially because of that, he can come off as a bit selfish because he's more focusing on him being emotionally nourished rather than, you know, going out of your way to emotionally nourish someone else. Which, if you do feel a bit difficult emotionally, that can be hard to care for someone else. Can achieve mutual long-term goals together. Keith's moon conjunct Nicole's Mercury. Enjoy long conversations. They enjoy being each other's therapists. Sometimes Nicole is too logical to Keith. Nicole is a practical help to Keith. Sharing ideas is a big part of the relationship. And Keith can get easily attached to Nicole. So it's interesting, like we saw in the beginning how there is a bit of like indicating that there could be a strong end to this relationship. But from what it looks like so far, both of these two seem to very much want to stick it out in this relationship. Keith's moon is square Nicole's Mars. There's sexual tension. It's a stormy relationship. Both will need to work out issues as they come. This seems to also be a big factor, working on issues like as they come, also dealing with their own personal issues. Difficult relationship emotionally if there are children. I don't like this because I believe they do have kids. Awkward. I'm pretty sure they do. I don't like this because, yeah, it seems like without kids, they seem to be not the greatest emotionally. So if they do have kids, it's even worse, which isn't great. Hard to relax together. Nicole does not have the patience to connect with Keith's feelings. That's not good. Emotional roller coaster, they're very reactive to each other. Resentment can grow. Potential for codependency, I assume this will be more on Nicole's part. Nicole's independence makes Keith feel insecure. I feel bad for Keith. Like, he seems to feel quite insecure, really idolizes Nicole and feels insecure seemingly because of her. And emotionally, he's not doing the greatest in the relationship. Keith's moon sextile Nicole's Uranus. Not a boring relationship. We did see the lovely emotional roller coaster before. They share common eccentric friends. Talk about social and political issues. So they do seem to agree in these areas. Mutual friends may bring them together. I'm pretty sure this is the only thing we've seen so far with how they've met. So I don't know how they've met. So potentially this is the way they could have met. Keith creates a loving environment for Nicole. Keith's moon trine Nicole's Neptune. Keith picks up on Nicole's needs. They inspire the other. Art is a shared interest. They sense each other's feelings. They share a sensitive and mystical worldview. Avoiding abuse of substances may be a part of this relationship. Both uncover the other's blind spots. I see this. We saw like the therapist dynamic. That's a bit bad. So we'll ignore that for now. Hopefully we'll see a bit more. But also we past relationships going into this, and there is a lot of they really need to sort of like, as things come, to make sure it doesn't grow a bit more, they need to deal with it. Mystical meeting. Keith's moon sextile Nicole's Pluto. Their relationship feels faded. Both of their irrational sides come out. Relationship presents opportunity for both to heal from the past. Literally this is very transformative. There seems to be a very healing relationship. In a more sort of psychological way, intense meeting, there's a strong bond. We keep seeing there's a strong bond. And they're involved in organizations together. I assume this would be, from what we've seen here, it will be more like social and political issues, clubs or organizations, since they seem to be quite equal and agreeant on that. So now it's time for Mercury. We have Nicole's Mercury in Cancer and Keith's Mercury in Scorpio. Prioritize their feelings and emotions. Are they both potentially quite selfish emotionally? Like, we've seen Keith seems to be that way. But with Nicole as well, like, we saw how she doesn't have the patience to connect with this feeling, so I assume on both ends they seem to be quite selfish emotionally. Both are invested in this relationship, we do keep seeing that. Understand the other's intuitive approach to life, they nurture each other. I believe more so financially, we saw that they are quite financially generous with each other, and also psychologically, I guess, because they have that sort of dynamic. Both are sensitive and take things personally. Nicole's Mercury in Keith's first house. Nicole can easily express herself to Keith. Keith feels more talkative around Nicole, and Keith finds it easy to understand Nicole. So we have Keith's Mercury in Nicole's first house, so this is repeated, just inverted. So Keith can easily express himself to Nicole. Nicole feels more talkative around Keith, and Nicole finds it easy to understand Keith. So I just wanted to mention, like, from what we saw in the beginning, how they both seem to be the same in this relationship, or have the same habits and stuff like that. I feel like this is emphasizing it. Like, we saw their sun and now the Mercury, they both have the same overlays in the same house. Their Mercuries are trying together, so there's easy communication. They solve problems similarly, I think we did see, which is a good sign, because we did see that it would be best practice to just deal with issues as they come and, deal with the issues head on. Enjoy learning from each other. They have complementary ideas and thoughts. They have a mutual understanding, they hold similar views, and misunderstandings are unlikely. I assume this will be more from Nicole's bit, because Keith seems to feel very misunderstood. Nicole's Mercury trine Keith's Neptune. Keith inspires Nicole's imagination. They share an appreciation for the arts. They get each other, and they're forgiving of each other. Nicole's Mercury sextile Keith's Pluto. They're interested in unique subjects together. It's a therapist-patient relationship we see again. Get to the bottom of things quickly. I definitely agree, and I'm glad, like, there does seem to be a real problem-solving aspect to this relationship. They share a lot together. Nicole is fascinated by Keith's depth, but she doesn't seem to want to deal with it. Tell each other their deepest secrets. Both heal from past relationships together. This really keeps coming up. I will be interested, because it is from both ends. I would be quite interested in the past relationships Keith has had. Nicole uplifts Keith. Keith opens up Nicole to new ways of thinking. Keith appreciates Nicole's humor, and they resolve deeper matters together. We keep seeing that. Keith's Mercury squared Nicole's Venus. They find each other interesting and attractive. Mundane communication is difficult. Exchanging ideas is a source of conflict. They have frequent disagreements. Need to learn to listen to each other, especially from Nicole's end, and they have difference in music taste. Keith's Mercury sextile Nicole's Uranus. Attract opportunities as a couple. I wonder if this could be potentially linked back to Keith opening up new doors for Nicole. Keith finds Nicole intellectually stimulating. They're perceptive and intuitive of each other. I assume this would be mostly from Keith's end. Open communications, and they encourage the other's visions. Keith's Mercury sextile Nicole's Pluto, so this is a repeated aspect, just inverted. So all previous things apply, but also Keith is fascinated by Nicole's depth. Nicole appreciates Keith's humor. Nicole opens up Keith to new ways of thinking, and Keith uplifts Nicole. So now it's time for Virgo. So we have Nicole's Venus in Leo and Keith's Venus in Virgo. Nicole expresses her love for Keith lavishly. I assume this would be where the financial splurging comes in. Nicole expects Keith to be invested. I wonder if I actually worry about him. He seems to really struggle in this relationship with his insecurity, and also he doesn't seem to be doing the best emotionally. So I wonder if that's why he may seem to appear detached. Keith feels threatened by Nicole's bragging. Nicole makes Keith feel insecure. This poor guy. Nicole's Venus overlaid in Keith's first house. Nicole is attracted to Keith. Nicole enjoys being seen with Keith. I assume this could potentially be where the bragging comes in. Maybe he doesn't really like that public thing. Keith over time may not appreciate the shallow admiration. Yeah, I see that. He doesn't seem to be a very shallow guy, if I'm being honest. Nicole does not pay attention to the regular Keith. Keith's Venus in Nicole's 11th house. Keith immediately likes Nicole. They're comfortable with each other. Nicole senses she can be herself around Keith. They are good friends, they both share the same social activities, and they are both open with each other, which we keep seeing. Keith's Venus conjunct Nicole's Uranus. There's an instant attraction. Keith is attracted to Nicole's unpredictability. Wow, we're really going back here, aren't we? Yeah, in the beginning we saw a lot of they're both unpredictable, so Keith is obviously quite into this. Share unusual interests, their initial attraction fades. We have seen this a couple times that the attraction does fade to each other, which is kind of sad. And the attraction we did see was more on like a physical, sexual way rather than an emotional, psychological way. So I hope that like they do have that glue of the psychological and healing aspect to this relationship. Keith's Venus conjunct Nicole's Pluto. Intensity constantly deepens. Manipulation of the other can occur. It's karmic. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised because, yeah, it seems to be leaning towards more long term. However, there are a lot of challenges here when they're kind of stuck together, aren't they? They feel trapped together, we saw. There's a strong pull to each other. There's a deep emotional tie. And Nicole can read Keith. So now it's time for Mars. So we have Nicole's Mars in Libra and Keith's Mars in Capricorn. These are both cardinal signs. It's a low-key relationship. It's definitely what Keith is trying to push. Keith gets irritated with Nicole. They feel responsible for one another. Nicole's Mars in Keith's third house overlaid. Nicole is more blunt around Keith. Keith may intimidate Nicole. That's kind of funny because we've kind of been seeing the other way around. Keith is sensitive to Nicole's intensity and it's very sexual. Keith's Mars overlaid in Nicole's second house. Keith triggers Nicole's possessiveness. I assume this will be linked to a dependency. Keith is patient with Nicole. Nicole is more materialistic in this relationship. Yeah, we keep seeing that definitely the whole financial splurging seems to be on her end. Keith is sentimental with Nicole. Keith treats Nicole as an object. And Nicole tends to be more masculine in this relationship. I kind of see that in terms of some more like traditional views where like the women can be a bit more emotional and emotionally demanding and the male doesn't understand that. I feel like in terms of that specifically, I see that for her being more traditionally masculine. So that was the final aspect. I hope you guys enjoyed this reading. I've shared my thoughts throughout the way. And yeah, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Give this video a like if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe for more videos from me, and yeah, click the notification bell as well if you want to get notified when I upload. And I think that's all I have to say. I will see you guys next time. Bye!